What if the wedding that fans only dared to imagine suddenly unfolded before the world's eyes, not as gossip, not as rumor, but as a moment so emotional it rewrote the meaning of celebrity love? This is the story fans tell in hushed voices and racing heartbeats. A cinematic vision of what many call the wedding of the decade. A moment where two legends, Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo, stand at the center of an imagined ceremony so powerful it feels real enough to touch. If you are still watching, subscribe. Let's get the story started as the world of your favorite celebrity unfolds.
Stay tuned.
The scene opens in silence. Not the awkward silence of waiting, but the kind that carries history. The kind that remembers every role, every tear shed on screen, every character that taught audiences how to love, how to lose, how to hope again. The venue is bathed in soft light, elegant and restrained, as if even the decorations understand the gravity of the moment. There is no excess, no noise, only presence. Then comes the first breath of disbelief. Lee Min-ho appears, composed yet visibly emotional, dressed with timeless simplicity. He does not walk like a star entering a spotlight. He walks like a man stepping into destiny. His expression carries years of growth, of public scrutiny, of private reflection. Every step forward feels like a quiet declaration that this moment is not about fame. It is about truth. And then everything changes. Song Hye Kyo enters. Time seems to slow, as if the world itself is unwilling to rush past this image. She is radiant, not because of grandeur, but because of restraint. There is strength in her calm, vulnerability in her smile, and a depth in her eyes that tells a story no script could ever fully capture. This is not the actress audiences know from unforgettable dramas. This is a woman standing at the edge of a new beginning. In this imagined ceremony, fans say you could feel it. The collective gasp. The sudden realization that this pairing, once whispered about in fandoms and late-night comment sections, suddenly makes an impossible kind of sense. Two careers built on emotional truth. Two lives shaped by the weight of expectation. Two souls meeting not in fantasy, but in understanding. The vows are spoken softly. No grand speeches. No theatrical lines. Just words that feel earned. Words that acknowledge scars, endurance, and the courage it takes to believe again. Lee Min-ho's voice is steady but raw, as though each sentence pulls from a place far deeper than performance. Song Hye Kyo listens, eyes shimmering, not with tears of sadness, but with the release of someone who has carried strength for far too long. When she speaks, the room changes. Her voice carries warmth, reflection, and an unspoken promise of resilience. She speaks of partnership, of walking together through silence and noise alike, of choosing love not as a headline, but as a daily act. In that moment, fans imagine that even the air feels heavier, charged with meaning. And then comes the moment that sends shockwaves through hearts everywhere. They reach for each other's hands. It is a simple gesture, yet it feels monumental. Two hands that once held scripts, awards, and the weight of public opinion now hold something far more fragile and powerful.
Commitment. Trust.
A future unknown but willingly embraced. When they finally look at each other and smile, it is not the smile of celebrities posing for cameras. It is the smile of two people who have survived their own stories and chosen to write a new one together. The kiss, when it comes, is not dramatic. It is gentle, almost private, a quiet sealing of something sacred. And in that instant, fans imagine the world exhaling, as if every drama that once broke hearts has finally found its resolution. Outside the ceremony, the reaction is explosive. Fans are stunned, emotional, divided between disbelief and joy. Timelines flood with memories. Old scenes resurface. Quotes once spoken by fictional characters now feel prophetic. People who grew up watching these two stars feel as if a chapter of their own lives has been unexpectedly completed. Yet what makes this story endure is not spectacle. It is the symbolism. In this imagined wedding of the decade, Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo represent more than romance. They represent endurance in an industry that rarely allows it. They represent second chances, quiet strength, and the idea that some love stories are not meant to be rushed, but ripened by time. Whether real or forever living in the realm of fan dreams, this ceremony exists as a cinematic truth in the hearts of many. A reminder that sometimes the most powerful love stories are not the ones written by writers, but the ones audiences long to believe could exist. And perhaps that is the real shock. Not that two icons stood at the altar together, but that for one unforgettable moment, the world believed in love again. And yet, the story does not end at the altar. Because the true weight of this imagined union begins after the final vow is spoken, after the applause fades into echoes, after the doors close and the world is left outside, pressing its ear against the glass. In the quiet aftermath of the ceremony, there is a moment fans like to imagine most. The moment when the roles fall away. Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo, no longer framed by lights or expectations, sit together in stillness. Not speaking, not performing, simply breathing in the reality of having chosen one another. It is here, in the unfilmed silence, that the meaning of the wedding deepens. Love, after all, is not proven in grand entrances, but in what remains when no one is watching. Those close to the scene would say there is laughter. Soft, almost surprised laughter. The kind that comes when tension finally releases, when two people realize they are safe. There is an ease between them that cannot be rehearsed. A familiarity that feels earned rather than rushed. Years of individual journeys, of heartbreaks quietly endured, of lessons learned under relentless public gaze, now converge into something steady. Outside, the world continues to react. Fans dissect every imagined detail, every glance, every pause. Some speak of destiny, others of timing. Many reflect on how both stars have portrayed love so vividly on screen, yet guarded their real hearts with careful distance. In this story, the wedding becomes a symbol of growth. Not fairy tale innocence, but mature devotion. Commentators imagine what this union represents for an entire generation. For viewers who watched Lee Min-ho rise as the face of youthful charisma, now transformed into a man defined by restraint and depth. For those who followed Song Hye Kyo through roles shaped by quiet suffering and emotional elegance, now witnessing her step into a future not defined by loss, but by choice. The reception is understated, almost reverent. Music drifts through the space, not loud enough to distract, just enough to carry memory. Friends and colleagues, imagined and unnamed, observe with respect rather than spectacle. There is no competition for attention. The focus remains unwavering, as if everyone present understands they are witnessing something rare. A love story that does not need to convince anyone. At one point, Lee Min-ho is said to stand and speak again. Not formally, not for applause, but as a reflection. He speaks of gratitude, of how life does not move in straight lines, of how meeting someone at the wrong time can still mean meeting the right person. His words do not seek validation. They offer perspective. Song Hye Kyo listens with the same quiet strength that has defined her presence for years. When she responds, it is not with grand declarations, but with clarity. She speaks of peace, of choosing calm over chaos, of understanding that love is not about being saved, but about standing side by side, unafraid of the future. Her voice does not tremble. It resonates. And perhaps that is what moves fans the most. Not tears, not drama, but certainty. As the night deepens, the imagined wedding transforms into something intimate. Candles burn low. Conversations soften. The couple drifts toward the edges of the room, away from attention, as if instinctively protecting what they have just built. In this version of the story, fame finally loosens its grip, if only for a moment. The final image fans hold on to is not a photograph. It is a feeling. Two figures walking together beneath dim lights, their steps unhurried, their silhouettes merging into one. No headlines. No speculation. Just forward motion. Just tomorrow. And when the world wakes the next day, still buzzing with disbelief, one truth lingers above all others. This wedding of the decade is not powerful because it shocked fans. It is powerful because it felt possible. Possible that two people shaped by pressure could choose tenderness. Possible that love could arrive quietly, without needing to announce itself. Possible that, even in an industry built on illusion, something genuine could exist, if only in the collective imagination. And maybe that is why this story refuses to fade. Because somewhere between fantasy and longing, between memory and hope, it reminds us that the most unforgettable love stories are not the loudest ones. They are the ones that endure.